I'm doing really good, Mike. How are things over there?
Everything is great. I'm going to be recording this so everybody can see it. We can replay it so people can see what we're doing. Um, the reason I wanted to have this meeting was that from the last video that we posted, where we were showing people using their cell phones with their smartphones and being able to retrieve documents with SharePoint, we had shown how you can just connect your Google phone or any phone and retrieve documents. So we had some people send me requests for information on two things. One was, how did we get the documents there in the first place, to be able to search by a keyword or other criteria? And the second question was, well, what if I'm not using SharePoint? Maybe I'm using Google Drive. So I thought we'd show them how we can use Google Drive or any storage medium for storing and retrieving documents. So what do you think about that?
I think it's really good. And for our European audience, we call them mobile phones as opposed to cell phones. Uh, and I think the other thing that's gaining a lot of traction over here, which goes along with what hopefully we'll be discussing more, is a lot of SMEs, and that refers to small, medium enterprises in Ireland. Uh, they're asking themselves a lot about AI and like how can we get our business involved in AI because it seems to be the way forward, and that's a really nice intro to a business where they have all their documents in the cloud, and it's either OCR or SharePoint, Google Drive or OneDrive, and they're able to leverage that information, which is essential to their business going forward. Um, so one of the things we're finding out here in Europe is DocIt allows them very quickly and very easily to get on board with AI and leverage it without a lot of costs.
Yeah, AI, I think for a lot of people sounds very complicated, just the term itself, right? Artificial intelligence. But the truth of the matter, AI has been around for quite a while um, behind the scenes. And I think that what we're going to be able to show people is how to leverage that without really having to learn any great skill, but using processes that are already in place to help people both on their day-to-day activity and especially the mobile worker now that has the capabilities of using a smartphone or mobile phone to retrieve documents when they need them. I think I told you about that case in point where I was actually buying a new camera, and I needed a new surveillance camera. And I went into the local store that I buy stuff from, and there was a new fellow there working the cash register, and he had trouble finding my account. So I asked him, I said, would it help if I had an invoice for you? He goes, oh, that would be great. So I took out my smartphone. I searched for an invoice. I showed him my smartphone, and bada bing, bada boom, he had me logged into my account. And I think that shows by itself the power of being able to retrieve a document when you need it the most.
Yeah, another thing in Europe, and I'm sure it's pretty similar over there, is one of the things we found with a lot of our customers is because the way Docket is set up and there's no need to actually physically print something, you can use our virtual printer setup. And from an end user point of view, they just click a button. So whether it's an email, an invoice, whatever it might be, it's sent over to the system. Uh, Docker allows them to classify that very quickly. And in classifying it, it's setting it up for the AI in terms of OCR, but it's also making sure that only certain people see certain things. So again, it looks after all the security, make sure it's in the sky. But the big thing we've noticed, and over here we work with a lot of MFP companies and that, but which is a double-edged sword for them in a lot of ways. But people's printing are being, it's up to 50% in a lot of cases. So their reduction on paper, toner, uh, all that goes with that is being greatly reduced. So that's another huge benefit of getting into uh, the AI gig, so to speak.
When you were talking a moment ago about classifying, can you explain that a little bit better?
Yeah, so essentially, with DocIt, and I don't know if you want to give a quick demonstration later on, but your information is sent to DocIt, and where we're saying you don't have to print it or scan it if it comes in electronically through an email or you have documents. You put them into DocIt, and essentially DocIt it has drop down lists. So the end user, either in terms of HR, picks Michael Feingold and the type of document it is, and it goes off into the cloud, which is secure. So two things happen with the classification. It's saying, look, this is a Mike Feingold document, and we only want HR and Mike to see this, or we might just want HR to see it. And Docker automatically configures that in such a way that it puts it in the cloud and only Mike or HR can see it, whoever decide. So it really eliminates wrong information about people going into silos or emails or things like this. Uh, so a really good example is we deal with a lot of companies that want to share information with their customers, but they only want their customers to see that information, and it's sensitive information. So when it goes over to Docker, the person picks the company that this needs to be shared with and the type of document it is, and only the customer can see it or they can see it. So it makes sure in terms of security, and over in Europe we call it GDPR, but it just helps company to easily and quickly make sure all their documents are in the right place. And then going back to the AI side of this, is AI literally works in information. So for AI to work for you, you obviously need to capture information and have it in the place where you want AI to work on it. So Docker does a few things in that respect. It puts the information in a place where either a Gemini, which is Google's version, or Copilot, which is OneDrive's version, or Anthropic, or ChatGPT, that information is in the right place where those AI engines or agents, as they're now called, can work on that information uh, specifically. So case in point is, and we might do a demo about this at some stage, is where I can take all my invoices, uh, put them through Docker. Docker will get them through whatever AI agent I want to use. And I can ask it, how much did I spend with Brennan's bread this week if I'm a shopkeeper? Or how much did I spend on utility bills for my 6 offices? Or, you know what I mean? I can really start getting information that makes sense to me and my business. And it also, the whole thing with AI is to classify the information and get AI working on that classified information. Where if you just throw everything up to AI, it gets confusing because it's looking through lots of different documents. The type of queries you'll do will take a lot longer. But if you pre-classify it, AI is more efficient, but more importantly, your security is better. You can decide who can see what can be used, and things like that.
Sounds great. So I thought for anyone who might be following this particular video, we should give them a quick demonstration of how we actually move the documents from the beginning to end and how they end up in SharePoint or Google Drive. And today we're going to show it in Google Drive. So I actually figure we'd start. I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay, while you're doing this, Mike, I'm just going to turn off my camera so I'm not distracting the audience.
It's fine.
Uh, but I
Okay.
will be here, so I'll just turn that off for a few minutes.
All right.
Okay.
Just give me a confirmation that you can see my screen okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming in loud and
All
clear.
right. So I typical Outlook screen. Most people are running Outlook today. And I wanted to show everybody that, if you get, whether it's a document, a Word document, a PowerPoint document, an invoice, any document that is sent to you, like Rory was saying a moment ago, many companies are spending a tremendous amount of money on their copiers, their printers, toner, and drums and click charges. If you could eliminate a lot of that, you'd save a tremendous amount of money. And really, when you think about it, there's not really much of a reason to have that paper anymore laying around. So right here, it was an email sent about some new forms. So let's say, for example, you're looking at our software DocIt, and you wanted a white paper on that. Here's a white paper. I'll open that real quick. Maybe you didn't want to, print that out on a piece of paper, but you wanted all your salespeople, or maybe your customers to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print that document, just like Rory said a moment ago. And you're going to see it's going to default to what we have here as a ePrint. I'm just going to print that document. I'm going to get a notification that it printed. I'm going to go to another document here. These are the benefits of a document management solution. We're going to print that one out. And it can be from any program. This happened to be Outlook, but I could actually print something directly from Microsoft Word or OneNote or OneDrive, or whatever I happen to have. So now that document is moved out, and I'm going to bring up DocIt now. So right now, if we click on our indexing button, I'm going to skip this one. And there's that document that we just printed. I'll go back to the other ones in a moment, but as Rory was saying a moment ago, this is how simple it is. Right now we have our drop-down list. So depending on who that belonged to, I'm just going to say that belonged to DocIt USA, which is us. The document type, let's just call that correspondence, or something that we're sending out. And in this case, we don't need to add any of the other criteria. But in this case, I'm actually going to add the word white paper, just in case I wanted to search for that later on. And I'm going to classify that again, what Rory was saying about classifying it. Here's another document. And here you can see it kept the last vendor that we were using and the last document type. This keyword, I'm going to call it benefits and classify that. Now that little pop-up just says that all the documents we have already been indexed at this time. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to refresh my screen. And here's that first invoice that I skipped before. So in this case, this belongs to a different company. So I'm just going to click on ADI. This is an invoice. Now, I've spoken to a lot of people about this. Some people like to keep their invoice numbers. But if you're getting a lot of invoices from the same company every month, it's probably easy to just classify it by the month, especially if that's the way you pay your bills. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to say this was a October invoice. I'll classify that one. This was a sales order. So let's say that was a sales order. We can click that. It's the same company, so we don't have to change this. And this was in the month of February, classified. That's a company that we don't have in our drop-down list. So people might say, well, what do I do then? Well, in that case, we can actually do it on the fly. So I'm just going to type in urgency. That's another invoice. And in this case, I'm actually going to put the invoice number in, because they're not a company that we do business with all the time. And we'll classify that. So now all those documents have been indexed and classified. And if we wanted to retrieve those, we're just going to retrieve. If I hit this button here, this is a search all. And you can see there's that document that I just indexed with ADI. Here's the one that we did for urgency. And right now, so the next step would be, okay, well, that's great. What if I want them in Google? Well, that's actually where these documents ended up. So right now I'm going to minimize this screen, minimize my Outlook screen, and I'm going to bring up my Google Drive. So here's, oh, I put them in here, sorry. Sometimes I make mistakes myself, but anyway, so all these are actually in Google Drive. Can you see that, Rory?
Yeah, I can see that pretty clearly, Mike.
All right.
And the nice thing, which I'm sure you're going to show in a few minutes, Google Drive with Gemini, which comes standard, will do OCR, full OCR on those documents. So if there's any word or anything in those documents you want to find, I know you type in the invoice number, but it's not necessary to do that. The important thing is to index it by ADI and the type of document, because that defines where it goes and how
All
we're
right.
going to deal
So
with it.
I guess it's easier to show that, right, Rory? We could just show that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's pick one. Rory, pick one out for me. Let's.
One you just did, Mike, but you might go online to because this is in your local drive at the
Right,
moment.
right.
But
But I have to pick out a word. So I'm going to open this one up for a moment. So we'll pick out a word so everybody can follow along with what you mean. I know what you mean, but if we pick out, yeah, let's just use the word transfer role, okay?
yeah,
All right, so I'm going to exit this, and I know what you mean. Let's go to Google Drive in the cloud. Let's see, where did I put Google Drive here?
yeah, in Chrome there, Michael, Google Chrome,
That's why I need Rory on the call with me, because sometimes I lose track of where I am.
and my drive.
You know, you get there.
And if you search in Drive,
Okay, and what I said before, transfer role, right?
yeah.
Well,
So
it's still searching, just so you know. Now that's searching everything in Google. It might be even better if I narrowed it down to the drive that it's in, which is this one.
no, yeah,
Well, let's
yeah,
just give it a
okay,
minute. Let's just see how long it
okay.
takes.
I tell you, I know what's happening here, Mike.
It might have not. Oh,
Yeah, it takes a few minutes. So just
yeah,
with
since we just put
will
it up there.
yeah, yeah. So it takes a minute or two.
Okay.
But I think if we had pre-picked something you had done already, which I think we did the last year, our customers are
All
using
right.
this all the
So
time.
just to give everyone an example, since we're in Google, let's open up this document here. We'll pick out a word from this one. Because you're right, Google needs time to run it through its algorithms. So if
Yeah,
we,
which normally takes about 5 minutes or so, but for the purpose
okay,
of the demo.
so um, that invoice doesn't have much detail on it, but I'm just going to
Yep.
use the word picked up. So let's go back to Drive. And let's see if we can find it like this, picked up. Okay,
And there it is immediately.
right, so let's,
Yeah, just click on that and
All right, I'm going to go
Yeah,
back to DocIt real quick. So, um, just so anyone watching knows, you don't have to use Google Drive to do that. So Google Drive is where it's going to mirror all your documents. So if I'm on my laptop, I'm on my tablet, on my office computer, I can also do the searching right from here. So if I wanted to search by vendor, I'm just going to use the ADI again. I can actually just click on ADI because that's what I'm searching for. If I were to single click on it, I'll get a preview of that document. Let me just minimize this over here. So we can view the document here. If I double click on it, then it's going to open the document up so I can look at it in a different way. And from here, if we had a multiple page document, we can scroll through it. We can stamp the document if we wanted to put document stamps on it. We can share the document. We can highlight things. So there's a lot of different ways for you to get to those documents. And, one other thing people ask me, Rory, from that previous call is that, what about subclassification? Let's say, comes to mind, like a real estate management company who has multiple locations, and they wanted to separate out each local office separately, but be able to search that from DocIt.
yeah, Mike, that's an interesting point you have. We have a few. I know you guys call them real estate property managers over there. We have a different word here, but we have a number of them, and they put. So just say they're managing a couple of my properties. Uh, they will put all the documentation, all the emails, all the receipts, all the invoices. Uh, they'll put it through DocIt. It'll end up in a folder that I related to that particular property that only I can see and they can see. So instead of me calling them up saying, how much should I pay for the grass vendor? Or is this done? Or what's the problem here? It just facilitates a better service from them and a happy experience from the customer who they're managing the problems. So I could give you loads of examples in Europe. One that I like talking about a lot is one particular company we work with. Uh, they manage a lot of pharmaceutical companies in terms of testing their water and all the tests they have to do. And prior to us getting involved, the customers were calling up all the time. Can I see the last result for this? Can I see the last result for that? Because they were being audited all the time. And now with DocIt, they just take all these results back, classify them by uh, the property or the customer, like Pfizer or Analog or whatever the company is, and that company, depending on where the plant is, can look up and see all the results
I think I
indefinitely.
might have, let me just check. I think I might have an example of what we're talking about here. Let me just close this for a second. I think let's bring up this one, which is another demo site we have. And let's retrieve documents there. Okay, so yeah, here's a great example. So the last one that we had, we only had the home the home directory selected because we chose on that example with Google that we were not subclassifying it. So to add to what Rory's saying, let's say you wanted to separate out your properties or your pharmaceutical vendors or any subcategory. Here you can see that we can search just by home, which is like the everything. It's the total of everything that you can search. Or if you wanted to drop it down by vendor, you could actually search individual vendors as well. So if, for example, if I click on BOCES and search, it's going to bring me up only BOCES information.
Yeah,
So that,
I think, Mike, the other important thing here is that because these BOSI's a folder is in the cloud, you can then share that folder only with the relevant people you want to share it with. So I don't know the best way to explain that, but like you index it, it subdivides it, it puts into a BOSI's folder, and you can decide within your company or externally to your company who has access to this.
All
So
right.
it's not only classifying it, it's looking after your security on this information.
So
But
what you're
does that
saying,
explain
Rory,
it?
is that let me go back to the home directory. We'll go back here. And if I wanted to, for example, only share out, here's a QuickBooks. Let's say I only wanted to share that folder with you
Yeah,
or a customer. I
yeah.
could then take that folder in SharePoint or Google Drive
Uh,
and invite my
OneDrive, yeah,
I would invite my customer just to share that folder with their passwords, right?
yeah, exactly. So you decide who sees what. And again, in Europe, GDPR, which we call it, uh, and obviously there are certain things, particularly with HR files. So, you only want certain people to see certain things. So what this does, it eliminates, uh, I guess, the end user having to worry about where do I put this? How do I name it? What should I do with it? Should I share it with? And it takes all that human error, or I wouldn't say human error. I would say, worry out of that because right now all your BOSI's stuff is in your BOSI's folder and you can decide who can see that and who can't.
Right now, what if the customer doesn't know how to do that? Would you facilitate that with them?
Yeah, well, that's the whole lovely thing about DocIt. We set it up so, when we install it, we obviously talk about how they'd like to classify their documents, how they'd like to what information they want ultimately. And security is a big thing. So we discuss with them, we set it up. And because it's so easy, we also show them if it's appropriate how to set it up. But most of our customers, uh, once we do the installation uh, and set it up for them, we can show them if they want to add a new user to see a certain thing or whatever. But it's very straightforward.
So if we wanted to share this folder right here called sales with our salespeople, let's say we had
Yeah,
10 sales reps and we wanted to have each one of the reps have access to maybe their lease agreements or their sales orders,
yeah,
they'd be able to do that, right?
yeah. You see the three dots at
Yeah.
the
So
yeah. Just go there and click share, and click share again, and you literally pick who you want to share it with. But I think your email or your yeah. So if you type in there Rory,
okay.
okay, and click on me and click send, you can give me a message saying, Rory, here's your sharing and click send. And you can actually, before share anyway, because it's non-Google account, but you can decide who you're sharing that with. And you can make me an editor. You can say read only. And the nice thing, if I leave the company, you can retract that share.
That's great.
So you're in total control. Now, once you do that, anything that goes through uh, DocIt USA with sales into that folder, I'll have access to. So you don't have to do anything. It'll actually, we can set up notifications. So if something comes in there, I'll get an automatic notification. But the big benefit, I think there's two big benefits here is if I'm with a customer anywhere in Europe, I can take out my phone and look at all the correspondence, all the interaction. everything we've had with that customer before I go into the meeting. So I'm informed.
Yeah, and it's even better if you forgot a document, right? Let's say you
Mm.
needed a piece of paper, like a buyout of an old lease, or a sales order, or even the lease agreement itself, and
Yeah.
you forgot to bring it. You know, one of the other things that I think we forgot to mention is that field sales people and service people are actually able to use their phones to scan or take a picture of a document and have it sent back to home office right from their phone to be classified at home office for
Exactly.
someone to retrieve it again. So there's another added benefit of using smartphone technology and AI to you're a service technician, maybe you're a delivery driver, and you need to confirm that an item was delivered or installed. Maybe you're an HVAC company that installed something. You could actually take a picture of the signed delivery receipt and send it back to home office before you even turn in your documents the next day. It could be done the same day, and then anyone can retrieve that document that needs to have access to it. So,
Yeah, so I think, Mike, we might end it there for now. Now we'll be doing another video/podcast next week where we'll be focusing on certain areas that we think SMEs would really like, because the ultimate goal here is to leverage AI, but more importantly, reduce your costs, give you an advantage going forward, and eliminate printing as much as possible, but just to have the ability to leverage the information that's important to your company and your organization through AI. So I think the next podcast we might do is we might look more closely on things like syntax and Gemini and Chat GPT, and how you can, without doing a whole lot, really leverage those amazing solutions,
yeah, I think
which
it's
was
a good
great, Mike.
idea. You know, more and more AI is coming into data extraction, and data is important to be able to extract that data, like you were saying before earlier about how much sales did I have at Brennan Bread or another company, and find out two things: who's the vendor that you're spending the most money with, or maybe it's which customer is spending the most money with you as their reseller or their vendor of choice. So, you know
Yeah,
that
and
that is
and
valuable.
the other thing, Michael, a lot of companies are looking at is automating their data entry process. So a lot of companies in Europe, and I'm sure it's the same in America, they're looking at sustainability, reducing their costs while helping the planet. So like eliminating paper, toner, the most expensive machine you actually have in your office in terms of power consumption is your photocopier, your MFP. But the ability to eliminate those costs, but at the same time bringing real value to your company. So somebody in the office wants to know, should we pay this or did we get this? So you can go in, look up the POD. Did we get part number 253? Did somebody sign off on it? Going back to the Brennan spread, because we deal with a lot of retail organizations over here, and they want to know, the bill comes in from Brennan spread. Did we get 6 loaves that day? Who signed off on it?
Right.
Because in a retail environment, they get loads of deliveries every day. And the way it works, they get the delivery, somebody in the back office signs off, and sometimes they put an X through something. No, this didn't come. And it just means they can go on to uh, either OneDrive, share, whatever environment they want. Because of DocIt AI, it's classified, it's OCR'd, and they can find anything instantly.
Well, I think this has been a very informative time spent. I hope that for anybody watching it, it gave a little bit better explanation of how to get your documents into the cloud. And for the next time, we'll be recording one, like Rory said, on Microsoft Syntax or Gemini. and show you how you're able to take that data, actually write off a piece of paper, export it into an Excel spreadsheet, and manipulate that data into other programs.
Yeah, and I think the thing there, Mike, is it doesn't have to be a paper document. Going back to how you showed, doc export, sending emails over. So if you get the email electronically, you can send it over, classify it, and then the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want with it. So thanks again. I
So
hope.
for anyone who wants more information, you can contact Rory in Ireland at rory@docitusa.com, or you can contact myself, Michael at docitusa.com in the United States. We look forward to showing more of these videos and having more of these calls. And each one gets better every time. And I apologize about the smartphone. I'm not sure what the connectivity issue was, but we'll do a separate one just showing you now that they're in Google or SharePoint, how you can use your smartphone anywhere, anytime, any place. Rory, it's been great.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike, and thanks to anyone who's looking in on this. And as Mike said, we're available to help. We've worked with loads of companies, and and it's a very cost-effective solution. In fact, the return on investment is pretty much immediate. So thanks again, Mike, and I look forward to the next session with you. Bye.
Okay, bye now.